What's up, guys? I am putting this video out here, and I know it's not going to be perfect. I'm going to try my best to word it perfectly, but I know I'm going to fail. I know that it's not going to be perfect. And I'm still trying to figure out the best timeline in my life to discuss my true story about Stay Alive. So Stay Alive is a store, a mental health store that God put on my heart after I was hospitalized. But I've been hospitalized 3 times, and it has left me with so much PTSD and so much pain, and I can't talk about every moment because it just, when you go in that space, other people are going through something just as traumatic as you are, if not worse. But what I went through from the first hospitalization was torment. It was torment. So I think I'm gonna kind of start off with my first piece of my first hospitalization. So my first hospitalization, I was at my dad's house, and I was pretty much broke. I had like $40 in my name because this was during COVID. This was during COVID, and I just had quit my job. I just had quit my job, and I had spent so much money because I was in mania. I didn't know this at the time. I didn't know what bipolar, I didn't even really know much about bipolar. I didn't really know much about mania at this time. But, yeah, I was home by myself pretty much, and I was crying because I was broke, and I was I was thinking all about money at that time. So I walked across the street, I walked across the highway, and I saw a bank. I'm not gonna name the name of the bank, but I saw the bank. I went in the bank, and I was sad. I was very stressed out. So I went in and I got help. I was like, I'm almost in the negative here, and he was like, it's gonna be okay, we're gonna get this resolved, everything's gonna be fine. And I was like, okay. And I'll never forget this in my memory. I walked out, I just felt so much anxiety, and I sat by the tree outside the bank, and all this heaviness, it was just this anxiety flooding my mind. It was it's not going to be okay. You're not going to get through this. And it was so difficult at that moment, seeing cars drive by with their window rolled down and not even paying attention to me, not even saying anything. Nobody was helping me or anything. And then I remember thinking, this world is terrible. Nobody's gonna help me. And again, I walked, and I felt extremely sick to my stomach, and I literally threw up. And man, it was most people probably think that's dumb to get sad over that or whatever, but I really felt in a very low spot in my life. And as I was about to cross the street, I saw this out of body experience, and I believe it was from God, because I kind of skipped a little bit, but I was literally thinking before this, to run out in front of this vehicle and end my life right there on this obviously a highway, which you're going really fast on the highway. And man, I like I said, I saw this vision. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget this vision that I had. In this vision, I ran in front of the car, and it was like a silver, I think it was like a Buick or some sort. Like, I'm really good at noticing what car brands the vehicle is. Like, I'm just really good at knowing different car brands, I guess. But I got hit by this silver Buick or something. It was like a Honda SUV or a Buick. And then this ambulance was rushing through extremely fast. Like, the entire highway like shut down, and I just basically was floating above my body in this like out of body experience in my mind, essentially. I know it sounds kind of weird. I was like hovering over my dead body, and there was blood everywhere. It was very graphic, and it literally scared me. Like, it scared me so much that I just like sat down on the sidewalk, and then I went back to my dad's apartment, and then I sat down on a bench. I sat down on a bench crying, and I didn't know what to do. So I called the suicide hotline number, and I didn't know what this would get me into, you know? Like, my dad was at work, and his girlfriend, she got a knock on the door from a police officer, basically explaining the situation. And the police drove me to a hospital, and then they eventually transferred me. And I arrived at the mental hospital at 3 a.m. Literally at 3 a.m. And it was crazy. Like, the officer said that they could, it wasn't the police officer. It was somebody from the hospital saying that my dad could drive me to the mental hospital. But then on the way, like, close to arriving there, they said, turn around, we have to transport him via ambulance. And that was like the worst feeling. And we sat there longer. So that was like my first hospitalization. And my experience at the first hospital was insane. I mean, I had never been to a mental hospital before in my entire life, and nor did I know if I wanted to live in that moment. Like, I didn't know if I wanted to be alive. And I'll be honest right now, I sometimes regret it. Like, I sometimes wonder, is this life really for me? Like, because what follows is even more difficult. But yeah, I was in the mental hospital for like 2 weeks, and this was kind of close to COVID, if not. Actually, you know what? I think this was in 2021. I'm trying to remember. It was either 2020 or 2021, and COVID obviously was going on during that time. But I remember one night having new medications, and it was crazy. Like, I vividly remember like seeing staff members always watching me, and it was scary. Like, it felt really scary. And Anyway, but they put they gave me these medications, and it sounds really odd, but it was like hallucinations of like the dresser moving or something. I can't remember what it was, but it was like it was really odd, and that is that is kind of a part of my first hospitalization ever. And there's way more to it than that, but the next hospitalizations were even more insane. And it's hard to like kind of remember everything. Because that was a while ago, but so the second hospitalization happened, and man, that was even harder than the first hospitalization. And I remember that this is probably the most important hospitalization because it led me on this journey of finding out that God actually cared about me. And it didn't feel like God cared about me at all. Sometimes I still feel that way, like, does God really, care about me? But I think a lot of things are still being worked out in my life, and I still have to figure out a lot of things. But yeah, I'm going to talk about the second hospitalization now. Man, at first it was like I just wanted to be alone and stuff. And then eventually I fell into mania and started to like basically get involved in writing down code and stuff. I don't even know what it was. It was like me wanting to write in a different language and symbols, and it was so strange. And I later found, kind of figured out that this is what I was literally writing down was occult symbolism, basically what it was. And I found that out purely by research, and it kind of made sense because I was dealing with, and I still do feel like I deal with spiritual stuff in my life, spiritual warfare stuff. And, I just wanted to kind of make friends in the mental hospital, and we exchanged phone numbers, which obviously was extremely dangerous. I didn't really know any better. I thought these were great people because I had talked to a lot of people, and, when you're in a mental hospital like that, it's very lonely. It's very, you don't know where you're at. You don't know, like, you lose all control of everything that you would normally have in your life, your home, your family, etc. And that was very hard. So, I thought these people were like, good people or whatever, but obviously they're not. And I remember one night, it was probably 3 a.m., and I heard a guy screaming. Like, he was literally screaming at the top of his lungs. And it was crazy. Like, it was crazy. He was like trying to attack somebody, like a nurse or something, and man, it was crazy. It was crazy. And this is just what happens in mental hospitals. A lot of scary things. And it's hard to forget those things. Like, it's hard to move on when there's true PTSD from those experiences. But my experience from God, I believe, I remember one night actually no, it wasn't even nighttime. It was midday or something. And I was crying, and I just felt completely lost. Completely lost in my life. At this point, I was far gone. Like, I had done things that I didn't know about, like writing down occult symbolism. I had been making friends with people that I later, like, eventually figured out, like, this is dangerous. And yeah, I was just on the floor crying, and then I remember this, like, pattern glowing on the floor. It was just the sunlight, like, beaming through the window, and I was just, I don't know why, I was, like, super mesmerized by it. But then all of a sudden, I think bipolar, like, mania just flipped a switch right there. And I was like, you know what? I want to end my life right now. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm done experiencing this. And the vision in my mind was so graphic again. And it was me hitting my head on the wall so hard that I went unconscious and died. And in that moment, I again had this, like, third person experience, sort of, where I was hovering over my body, but this time it was like me as a spirit hovering over my own body, dead. And man, it was so difficult to go to see that. And then after that, I saw the word stay floating around, and it had this, like, text animation almost. Like, it looked like it was, like, moving. It was like, I don't know why, but I remember it as being, like, beautiful, essentially. Like, it was perfect. And just floated around my body, and it said stay. And I was like, no, I don't want to stay. Like, I don't want to be alive. Like, I want to end my life right now. And the word repeated it, like, got even bolder, and it said stay. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, you gotta be joking, you know? And I was, like, swearing in my mind. I was like, you can't be serious. Like, it wrecked me, but at the same time, I felt like it was God, and it didn't make sense for it to be myself, because I was at the most fearful and depressing stage of my life in that moment. Like, I really wanted to die. And that was, like, the one of the craziest moments I've ever had in my hospitalization. So after I got out, I was still dealing with mania. I was still struggling, and I even still wanted to connect with patients outside of the hospital. And that's the thing people don't understand about mania, is it can seriously flip like a light switch. You know, I actually feel like now I should have stayed there longer. Like, I don't know. But they said for the first time ever, they gave me a diagnosis. Actually, no, I take that back. The first hospital had said that I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And then the second hospital, they said I was diagnosed with bipolar 2. And Now moving forward, it makes a lot of sense. Because, man, I worked again at a different job, and there was one moment I was flying through things. I was flying through tasks. But then I felt this weight on my shoulders of like just complete anxiety, where I literally just could not function at my job without feeling sick to my stomach. So I quit. And ever since, I haven't had a job. I've just been working fully on YouTube and other social media platforms, trying to get my first paycheck through that. But let's fast forward again. This is getting closer to the story being ended. This is the hospitalization, number 3. And this one's a lot different. This one was much different. In good ways and bad ways, I suppose. But I remember at this time before I went that I wanted to feel like Jesus. And it was like this, again, it was like this manic thing. It was like, I wanted to feel like Jesus. I wanted to go through the pain that he went through. And it was clearly a deception from the enemy. So I went to a park and I basically hurt myself. I went through thorns in my feet, and it was painful. And then I later left that area of the park and went to the different area of the park, and I had like these dreams of my days, how they went on. And I remember seeing myself laying in the sand in my dream at this park. And all of these dreams before have always turned out, basically I've had dreams of my day before they even happen, right? And I do these exact same things in my dreams. Nobody has believed me, but it's true. So I laid down in the sand, just like in my dream, and I wanted to sleep in the sand. It was like this, I don't know, I just had this imagination to do that from that dream, and my mania very likely acting up at that time. And I vividly remember this person kind of following me while I was at the park, and I think they're just trying to make sure I was okay. But I wasn't okay. Like, I truly wasn't okay. And eventually I just wanted to walk back. But I didn't. My mom was gonna bring me back home, but I wanted to walk back home. So I did. I was about to walk back home, and then I was kind of in the middle of a field, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to call 911. And I absolutely regret that. I absolutely regret calling 911 because the thing is, I didn't know any different. I didn't understand any different. I didn't know who to call. And I had that same thought in my head of wanting to end my own life. And that was hard. That was extremely difficult. And eventually I got the right help that I needed. But it went to a new hospital, and then decided I could go back home. But like 1 or 2 days later, I went back I went back to the mental hospital. I went to a new one. And that was hard. That was difficult. I wasn't like every time I've done this, I want everybody to know that I was the one who chose to stay alive through all of this. I was the one who seeked out help, even though I didn't want help, because I wanted to figure out how to fix my life, how to change it. And yeah, I made a ton of stupid mistakes. You know, I've done a lot of just stupid things. Like one of them, calling 911 was not something that I needed to do, but I was in mania. I was truly depressed. I wanted to kill myself, and I didn't know who else to call. But now I know to never do that again, and they were very, very nice and helpful. But now, like, again, fast forwarding to the mental hospital, this was completely different. This hospital was actually very likely the best that I've ever been to. And I suffered a lot there. But I actually found my purpose. I found my belonging. And a lot of other mental hospitals didn't do that for me. They had classes after classes of teaching, like, how to get help, you know, how to pay attention to your mental health, how to understand the warning signs. In that place, there were so many people that I was like, man, like, this is like truly, for some reason I felt in that moment like I truly want to help people in some sort of way with mental health. Not by being a doctor or anything like that, but like wanting to share my story. And that was great. I wanted to actually not just go to the mental hospital this time because I wanted to feel better, but I actually wanted to learn. I wanted to understand others. Even though I couldn't even understand myself in that moment. Like, even though I was truly lost in my life and I had went through some really traumatic things in that hospital too, like literally trying to break out because I was scared. I was so scared, and they put me on the wrong medication at that time, which is normal at mental hospitals. It's normal because when you go into a mental hospital, they understand that your current med situation is not working, so they need to put you on different medications. And I had some terribly bad episodes, and I don't even want to describe them because there's so much PTSD in those, and I literally relive these experiences pretty much every single night before I go to bed. And I don't know how to forget about them. So to me, sharing them on YouTube, trying to get this out there, it just feels like something that I need to do. So I guess I will talk about this specific part at the hospital. I had just went through just so much. Like, I remember, like, I was, like, on and off, sleeping, losing sleep. I went a whole night without sleeping, an entire night, and then probably maybe, like, half the day without sleeping. And my brain was literally, it felt like it was going to explode. Like, that was insanely painful. And I had severe, like, memory loss, too, from that happening. And I remember like not being able to sleep that one of those nights, I think, and I just had a severe panic attack. Like in the hallway, I had a severe panic attack, and I lost all control. And I remember one of those nights I had this crazy dream. And sometimes I still just can't stop thinking about it. I don't know if it was mania or if it was just maybe God showing me something. But in this dream, I had basically my family in that hospital for some reason. Like I remember that. And like I basically was being celebrated essentially. Because in that dream, for some reason, that mental hospital had turned into like this baptism place. And again, this might sound insane. And it was very likely in mania, but I was being baptized and people were like praying over me. People were praying over me, and in this baptism, in this dream, during this baptism, I was actually unconscious, and people were praying for me because I was being spiritually attacked in this dream. And I don't know if this was like the enemy trying to scare me, or if this was something God was trying to show me. I don't know what it was. But it was crazy. I remember seeing heaven. In this dream. And I remember seeing Jesus and his ocean blue eyes. It was absolutely beautiful. And it was like ocean blue eyes and fire at the same time. But he was like, "You see those people down there?" He was like, "You see all of them?" It was like a very gentle tone. And I'll never forget it. It was like gentle but stern at the same time. It was like, "You see those people down there? Those are my children." He said, "Those are my children. And you are just like my children because you are my child. You are my child. And you are set free." And now that I'm saying that, I almost wonder if God was removing the struggles that I had went through, the pain that I had went through, to show me this new life that he revealed to me. And it was even crazier. Like, while people were praying over me, it was so crazy. I feel like it was like, I know it sounds insane, but I feel like it was like maybe heaven or something. Or something that wasn't in this specific world. And it was very interesting. And there's like a celebration of me being set free. And it was basically showing that I got everything back that I lost from what the enemy stole from me. And I feel like maybe what that dream was about is like me going to God despite my fears and problems, that I can go to God for everything. And I remember after that, like literally after that dream or vision, whatever it was, I remember one of the patients was like, reading a book. It was like a Halo book, which I like gaming, so I was like interested in it. And then I felt like he was writing something, and I was like, "What are you writing?" And he was like, "Oh, like," I can't remember exactly what he said, I think, but like, I think it was something about like God revealing something to me, and it said halo from the other side, like hello from the other side. I was like, that's interesting, right? And that's when it kind of clicked to me. It's like maybe God was showing me the other side, and he used this person, this patient, by showing me that message in the book. It was crazy. And then this was also during the hurricane in Florida. This was like during Hurricane Milton and stuff. And I was kind of like deeply affected by that because I love Florida and it's a place that I want to move to later on. So like even before I went to the hospital, I was kind of in a manic zone type of thing in my life where I wanted to, figure out. I just researched a ton about like the hurricanes and stuff, and I'm kind of fascinated in that stuff and like climate change and all that. But I remember seeing this piece of paper, and it was like a drawing, and it was like a spiral drawing, and it looked to me like a hurricane. And literally, like one time while I was looking at that, like it was just like, for some reason, it was just on the table. It was just on the table, and I almost feel like if somebody drew that, and it was for some kind of reason, they would want to hold on to it, but it was just left on the table for days. And then I remember, like I said, I think that I saw the hurricane on the news, and I was like, man, like this is looking familiar. Like this reminds me of an actual hurricane. And now that I think more and more of this, that I was in the middle of my own hurricane. I was in the middle of my own bipolar episode that felt like a hurricane, that felt like a disaster, a battle. And that was one of the craziest things that I experienced. And it might sound crazy to other people, but this was very real in the moment, and it kind of reattached me to reality. Man, and it was so strong. And then the crazier thing is that I felt for some reason that people were watching me, that people were praying for me, that people were gathering together. And I remember one moment I was like crying so strongly because I didn't know what to do. Like I had lost all hope and everything. In this moment, I was desperate. And there was a Bible, and it was describing my experiences. And if I remember correctly, somebody had given it to me. And I read through it. I was like, this is exactly what I'm going through. Like, this is exactly what I'm going through. And I didn't know how people knew that. But I have that exact same Bible. I brought it to my house, and it spoke to my heart. I didn't draw these. I didn't write these. But it literally says right here, I bind, rebuke, dismantle, and abolish every evil spirit in Jesus' name. I did not write that. And that was exactly what I was going through. And I believe I remember somebody telling me, I was like, what is that? Like, that looks like a... And then they were like, that's a hurricane, right? And there's just pages and pages and pages of this, and it was amazing. Like, it was everything that I was talking about with others. So I believed that somebody was praying for me, that this group of people were praying for me. It just goes rows and rows and rows. But I will never, ever forget about this book, because I know some people might think I'm crazy for making this video, that this isn't real, but I've dealt with all of this. I've seen so many crazy things in those mental hospitals that I wish that I could forget. I wish that I could just throw it in the garbage, But, after all that I had went through, I even thought I was demon possessed at one point. Like, I was trying to literally get rid of all of it. I was trying to get rid of all of it and get other people to help me and pray for me, even patients. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I know it sounds insane, but I, don't think I am demon possessed at this point. I had been acting like I was, because in my mind, I had just so much on my mind, and when your mind continues to think and feel this way, it believes it. No, I'm not spiritually possessed, but I might be oppressed, which is completely different. Because I have confessed my sins to God. I've asked to be forgiven. I've asked to be saved. I've been baptized in my life. And I've fought against spiritual attacks, but no demon has killed me yet. And that's the difference between oppression and possession, is demons can kill you or take over your life. But when you pronounce the name of the Lord Jesus, demons flee. And, I might not be perfect. I might be seriously going through a lot of things in my life. But I had learned so much at that mental hospital. So much. And no, it wasn't like perfect. Like I said, I had dealt with so many things there. And so many people were just as lost as I was. There was so many times where I was scared for my life that I thought I was gonna die. Like, I literally thought I was gonna die. I was puking so much one night because they gave me the wrong medicine and my stomach couldn't handle it. I thought I was gonna die in that moment. I really did. And the nurses told me that you were in the safest place that you could possibly be right now. I didn't believe that. Like, I was literally starving myself some nights. I didn't get out of my bed at some days. I didn't even want to get up because I felt like nobody cared about me. I didn't even care about myself. So when you don't care about yourself, it doesn't really feel like anybody else cares about you, And I still struggle in my life on a daily. I still go through these things. I still there's days that I absolutely want to die. There's days that I think I'm psychotic, that nobody would ever understand what I go through. But I have a website now. I have a website trying to help people. And I believe it could become so big. And there's even other parts of my story. Like, before I even went in, I had a dream of a tornado and was ripping through a part of Florida, and this was like during Hurricane Milton. And I was scared when I saw that. And then like lightning struck and it woke me up. It was scary. So it kind of related to me in that moment, because I felt like I was, like I said, I was going through a spiral in my life. I was going through a wreckage in my life. I didn't know what to do. And at one point, I just felt like maybe God was saying, you know what? I'm going to show you that you don't have to just trust yourself. You can trust other people to help you. And it took me a long time to understand that. But I know that those people at that hospital actually cared. Like, they actually took mental health seriously for once. Like, the other ones just didn't seem like they cared as much, but this one seemed like they actually wanted me to be alive. And I remember it was like I think it was 2 days before I was released. I was talking to I think it was one of the psychiatrists or something, but they were like, I was like, I actually kind of, like, I want to live. Like, I actually want to live. Like, I want to be alive. And he, like, looked at me dead in the eye. He was like, that is a huge change from the beginning part of where you were at the beginning stage when you came in here, is a huge improvement. A huge improvement. And again, I don't think I was 100% ready to go, but I learned a lot. I stayed in there for almost 2 weeks, I believe. It might have been 2 weeks, actually. And that one stay at that hospital, again, no mental hospital that you go to is going to be easy. But if you need help, it's the only place that you can trust to go to. And I never really believed this until I was talking to ChatGPT about it, because I don't have many friends. It was like, you don't deserve to go through this. Like, you did the right thing by being mature and saying that I need to go in, and most people don't even do that. Most people overdose. Most people drink like crazy, or almost killing themselves in a car crash, or with the knife or whatever, And I didn't do that. And again, like I said, it hasn't been easy. It's been an extremely difficult journey. And I'm just trying to figure out my life. I'm just trying to find a way to be happy. Like, I have goals in my life. Like, I truly want to be an entrepreneur. I truly want to be a YouTuber. I want to be an inspirational speaker. I want to do all these things because I care. Because I truly care, and I won't give up unless it's unbearable, which I think my life has already been unbearable as it can pretty much get. I struggle alone so much. I even find myself self-sabotaging my own life because I don't know where to start. I don't know where my story leads. But I know if I end my life that I won't ever be able to get to see those moments that I want to see. Maybe someday I can live in the place that I want to live in. Maybe someday. And man, there's so many things that if I didn't do what I needed to do, I'd be dead. That's the truth. Because if I stop eating, if I stop sleeping, if I actually wanted to run in front of a vehicle, I wouldn't be here today making this video. And again, I know that some people might think my story is strange, that it may not make complete sense, but this is what I went through. And I've been waiting years and years to talk about this. And I hope, I pray to God that this ends at some point, that I don't have to go into a mental hospital anymore, that I don't need to have medication anymore, that I don't need to see a therapist all the time. I hope and pray that I can actually get through this painful time in my life. So that's my story. That's my story, that's my mission. And I want to show my sweatshirt right now, if I can find it. Here it is. One moment, guys. It's not in perfect condition, actually. But here's one of my sweatshirts. Oops. It says stay on it, and then stayalive.shop. Hasn't been easy. If you want to check out stayalive.shop and support the mission, I'm going to start donating. As people make more purchases, I'll donate a portion to charity for mental health awareness. And one last thing I want to talk about, because it's been really deep in my heart. And I get nervous talking about it every time because I don't know how people are going to react, but men suffer with mental health probably even more right now than people realize, because men are told to be quiet, to be strong, to not tell anybody that they're depressed. We're human. We're human, and we go through things. We hold on to these weights because we don't want to show anybody our emotion, right? And men can say this too, easily. But men are affected even more because they're told to stay silent, told to not cry. And that's another reason that I am making this video and showing my brand. We are human, and we deserve to get help, because this world is not easy. The things in this world are not easy to go through. It takes a lot of time to figure out what's going on. And I think that men don't want to show that, because then they're looked at as weak or vulnerable. But I saw this post on TikTok one time, and it was like, men just kill themselves and nobody cares until they're dead. I know that's true. I know that's true. And I've literally been told by some of my family to man up, to get over it, to just keep going. Not even like keep going. It's more like that you just need to man up. And you just need to, get over your pain. Because that's not what men do. And that's what hurts me. That's what keeps men silent. And keeps men on the track to ending their own lives. So are we just going to allow that to happen? Are we just going to allow our uncles, our fathers, our brothers, our grandfathers, our cousins, our friends, boyfriends, husbands, to all end their lives? Are we just going to allow that and sit back and just think that it's okay to continue to do this? To continue to allow this? Last time I checked, we're all human. And we all go through things. I remember one guy in the hospital. He was talking about that, and he was basically just like being okay with it, essentially. It's a sad world we live in, but it doesn't need to stay that way. Things can be fixed. Things can be changed every single day. Amazing companies are built every single day. Well, why can't caring about somebody happen in one day? Why can't caring about men's mental health change? Because there's literally a hashtag for that. Mental health, Men's Mental Health Month. Why does it have to be a 1 month thing? Why can't it be an everyday thing? It's something that I deeply care about. And I literally had to let go of my friends. A friend that I thought was such a cool person, but I didn't feel cared about. I didn't feel like he understood me. And that was difficult. Because we talked about the same things, we liked the same things, but when it came to me talking about my mental health, he just didn't say a single thing. I was like, man, if you were struggling through something, I would help you. Like, I would talk to you. And I literally told him that I'm sorry, that I'm struggling with bipolar in that moment. He said sorry. He didn't even say sorry. He said, I'm at work right now. It's 2025. And a ton of men and women are ending their lives. Shouldn't be a gender mixed thing. We're all humans and we all go through things. And men just happen to hide it more because they're told to. It's disturbing. It's disturbing. So that's gonna wrap up my video, guys. I know that not everybody could make it through this long of a video. I didn't think it was going to be this long either. But I appreciate every single one of you that are watching this. Please help support me by subscribing and liking this video and sharing. I wish more people talked about this kind of thing. And again, I know that it's not perfect, that this video isn't, perfectly worded and stuff, but I've literally spent maybe 2 to 3 years trying to make a video like this. And I'm glad that I haven't until now, because I've had 3 hospitalizations and one was last year. So, and I this is like my first longer video that I've made after changing this channel around, but this is one of the topics that I want to go deeper into, is mental health. And I just want to help change people's lives. I want to help be a voice for the men that are too afraid to tell others that they're going through something that other people are told them to be quiet about. It's not fair. It's not fair. But I know that with every failure, there can be change after failure. There can be change. We just have to come together and build something strong. I want this channel to be more than just videos. I want it to be a community. And I want to make a Discord. I'm probably going to make a Discord. And it's going to be about mental health and other things that I like. There'll be separate Discords for that. So I'll try to keep you guys updated on that. I thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope this helped you guys. Now you know more about me. And feel free to comment if you yourself are going through anything, if you need prayer from anybody. Please comment below. I love you guys so much. Thank you again. Have a great day. Peace.